In these times where life is so difficult for many people all around the world, you get people now asking themselves and wondering, is it maybe a wise move to immigrate to another country? Maybe the grass might be greener on the other side. And I've had many people ask me that question because I am somebody that has moved from the place where I was born and now living in another country. So they ask me, was it worth my while? What are the pros and cons of leaving the place of your birth and moving to another country? Well, I can tell you, in my own personal life, there has been some pros. For example, if I look at the knowledge that I have gained just by moving, there's some things that I've learned here which I would never have learned had I remained where I was. You see, where I was, when I was living back home, sometimes the people I was hanging around with, they did not push me to the next level. They were keeping me in the same level. And I know I probably would have remained friends with them because I was comfortable in that situation. I needed to branch out and move into another environment, make new friends so that I could then move up and see things a bit differently. And that has helped. I now do see things differently. I've learned more now personally. I've changed from the person I used to be. And I can see some of the friends I've left behind, they are still the same. They're still in the same position. They have not moved. It's just like as if in the past 20 years, their life has not changed at all. And do you know why? It's because they're still in the same group, the same circle. They've not added other people in who are maybe on a higher level, who could maybe take them up to, or maybe people they could learn from, but they're just within that circle, negative people. And then I'm not taking anything bad from them because I still love them. But it's good to branch out sometimes and you gain more. And then also looking at my children. I know I would not have had my children had I remained in the same place. Back then, I was living a life of just having fun, 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 drinking, partying, living dangerously, and getting married, having children was the last thing on my mind. So I know it's most likely I would not have had these children, and this has been a great achievement for me. And then again, I look at in terms of financial benefits. Yes, I've earned I earn much more than I did back then, and I've seen more potentials because if you move to a place where there's greater potential, where things are easier for you, I'm able to have side businesses which I know I would not have been able to have. Well, I did have a few when I was back home, but not as many. And the opportunities here are so easier, to have these other businesses. The barriers of entry are not as much as when I had when I was back home. So that is another benefit for me. And like I said, before my life was a life of just fun, fun, and living dangerously. And so many times my life was at risk. I can't count how many times I've been held up, people with guns and been robbed of stuff and having close encounters, my life being so close to being taken that every time I think, man, that was so close. Will I survive the next attempt? The next. So I'm not saying where I am right now is the safest place, but chances are probably I would not have been around right now had I still remained where I was. Then if I flip it and look on the other side of the coin, some of the unfortunate negative things having moved away is that I've missed so much. I've missed so many family reunions. I've missed weddings. I've missed funerals. I never got to say goodbye to some very close and dear relatives. And it's people I will never see again. And that's a pain that you have. And it's something that I've come to terms with, knowing that I'm missing out a lot being with my family. Of course, I got a new family over here, but having, there's that family that when talking about your family, the people that brought you up, and if they're in another place, yes, you go see them, you do visit them, but things are expensive. You can't visit your family every 6 months. So you're missing out on all that time. But of course, it has benefited everybody because I can help them when they're in a situation and they need maybe financial assistance. I can give that to them, but that does not compensate the quality time I know I could have had with them. I'm missing out so much. Their nephews and nieces that I have, I've missed out on seeing them grow and developing a real tight and close relationship with them. So it's a choice that people have to make for themselves as to, will you be prepared to take that sacrifice? Will you make that sacrifice and say, okay, I'd rather forgo those relationships, close relationships, and go for the financial gain and the spiritual and whatever knowledge you're going to get, and grow yourself into somebody better? Or you could remain back home, be with the family, and you may not have that growth, but you probably could be happier. So in the end, it's like, what makes you happy? Finance or family? I know family is definitely the most, because that endures. Because having people, a family that's loving, that's things that you can't take that, you can't replace that back. You can't take that away. You can't. If it's gone, it's gone. You can't replace it. Money you can make and lose it, and you can get it back again. So that's my take on it, and I'd like to know what your take on it would be. If would you consider moving to another country now that the economy is on its knees, and life at this moment seems to be just getting worse and worse? Will you make that move?